One of the Lions' rookie corners is starting to ball out, and the legend Jim Nagy is with us.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, here we go, everybody. We are back another episode of Locked On Lions on a Tuesday edition. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you on a Tuesday, December 10th, and a Wednesday, December 11th. Hope you're doing well. How's everybody feeling today? We got Lions and Buffalo Bills coming up Sunday. Yes, let's go Buffalo. We're going to have the CBS crew out by Comerica Park, right by the entrance out there. The new home of Alex Cobb, by the way. Come on, Tykes. They don't ever let me down. Alex Cobb. Woo! Come on now. Anyway, CBS crew is going to be here. Nance and Romo. People are going to be jumping through tables. It's going to be a lot of fun. This could be a Super Bowl preview. We will discuss your Detroit Lions with the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, none other than longtime NFL scout and talent evaluator Jim Nagy is going to join us. I love when Jim was on ESPN for a while doing draft coverage. He's the man. He's going to join us momentarily on the program. We got to talk a little bit about Terrion Arnold, who's playing very good football as of late. And yes, PFF doesn't love him, but you've asked a lot of this rookie, and I'll explain to a lot of that coming up momentarily as well. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there that watch the podcast, listen to the podcast daily. We have blown up the last few weeks. Top 100 on Apple. Our Friday show. Most YouTube views that we've had. Thank you. It means the world to me. All right. That Lion fans are loving the pod and checking us out and telling your friends. Thank you so much for doing that. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Joe Marino, host of the Locked On Bills podcast. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of great Locked On podcast hosts out there. We love Tony Wiggins. We hate Peter Bukowski. Regardless, okay? Joe Marino is damn good. Hosts Locked On Bills. And if you look at all the Locked On shows, all right, you go on like Apple Podcasts, Joe's is the most highest rated. He does a great job. So we're going to find out all about Josh Allen and James Cook and Kincaid and Milano and all the Bills coming up with Joe on our Thursday crossover. All right, before we talk to Jim Nagy, Lions had an off day today, going to get back to practice tomorrow. But, Dan Campbell made it a point on Monday to really shout out the rookie cornerback, Terrion Arnold, Lions' first-round pick. And while Pro Football Focus doesn't have Terrion Arnold that highly graded, I think the game the other day against the Packers, Terrion Arnold's grade was like 60.9. It wasn't anything great by any stretch of the imagination against the Packers. But think about this for a second. Per our friends at Pro Football Focus, Terrion Arnold has played 716 defensive snaps this season. That's the third most among all rookie cornerbacks. Of the 716, 239 of those snaps are man coverage, meaning it's one-on-one, mano-a-mano, him against the receiver. And that is the most in the NFL. Quinyon Mitchell, who everybody says is the best rookie cornerback of the group from the Eagles, has played 147 man coverage snaps. It's almost 100 less. Arnold has given up 21 catches on the year. That's it. On 42 targets for 245 yards. And his passer rating against him, or his passer rating of 76, by the way, in man coverage, is pretty damn good. And the Lions defense, by the way, is number one in the league, according to PFF, when it comes to passer rating against them, just 76.5. All right. So, going through all the numbers and reading you some stats. Let me give you some stats, partner. Terrion Arnold. Many of you don't know who I'm imitating there. I want to see a YouTube commenter get it right on who I'm imitating when I talk about stats. partner. Because it's somebody many of you know. But I won't say. Terrion Arnold's playing well. All right. And last year at this time, we sat here and said, the Lions could be in trouble in the playoffs because Cam Sutton was having a lousy second half. Kendall Vildor, as we know, is not a starter in this league. Jerry Jacobs was playing corner at the time. Will Harris, right? And Brian Branch. Now you look at what Terrion Arnold's doing, how well Carlton Davis has been playing. Amik Robertson's been a rock in the slot. You know, Branch can cover on occasion when they need him to. Vildor is more of a backup. The Lions are in really good shape, and Terrion Arnold is taking on all comers. And look, I'm well aware of the start of the year. All right. Everybody was worried about the rookie from Alabama because he was flag happy. He was handsy. But since then, he just continues to go out and play, continues to perform. He's tough to throw against. And it's another Brad Holmes draft pick that is panning out. You've got to have good corners in this league. Look at last night's Monday Night Football game. Who was the GOAT? Who cost the Cowboys the game? Because he touched a blocked punt and fumbled it. Amani Oruwariye. Do you remember Amani Oruwariye's last year here in Detroit years ago? It was brutal. And the Lions were like, bye. We don't need you anymore. We don't want you on the team anymore. I'm not picking on Amani. He's a fine player, but you know what I'm saying. The Lions are going to take the next step and be really good and get to the Super Bowl. You got to have people on the outside taking away the other team's best targets. It's a passing league. It's a league where the offensive players get preferential treatment. You see flags flying all the time for pass interference. And yes, Arnold's been flagged in the past, right? And he'll be flagged again. But I feel better about this team going into their stretch run with Buffalo and Chicago and San Francisco and the 11-2 world-beating Vikings. All right, just ask Byron Murphy. No one's talking about the Vikings. Ooh, Vikings are good. Don't get me wrong. But Terrion Arnold getting a chance to play against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I like the Lions' chances because this kid has stuck his nose in there and has made it. He's made it. He's playing good football. All right, Jim Nagy is going to join us coming up next from the Senior Bowl. Jim does a great job with it and with the game. We're going to get into that with him and much, much more right here on a Tuesday edition of LO Lions. Folks, I got the best gift for you for the holiday season. Locked On Lions fans. I know you're like me. Your holiday shopping list is, let's just say, far from complete. Well, if that's the case, I've got the perfect gift for the passionate sports fans in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Perhaps you heard of the IceShaker. IceShaker is now officially licensed with the NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, and MLB, and will make the ideal gift. Created by and used by the Gronkowski brothers, IceShakers has sold over 1 million bottles. Look at this water bottle. The Lions, look at, come on now. Woo, I can drink out of it. I don't even want to, this just came in the mail, and I love it so much. They changed the game with these workout bottles, and this is the gift you've been looking for. Go to IceShaker.com, use the code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout to save 25% on your order. All right. Kitchen grade stainless steel bottles that won't absorb odor like the plastic bottles do. Patented twist-in agitator that breaks up the powders, but is silent when you shake it instead of the annoying ball that is in there. It's third-party tested. They've got it all. Order your team-branded bottles today. It even says Lions One Pride, established 1934 on it. Order your team-branded bottles today at IceShaker.com. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL for 25% off your order. IceShakers. Show your support for your teams. Lions fans, get these now. Best branded workout bottles on the market at IceShakers. And Locked On Lions also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. If you love watching the game, you're going to love Prize Picks, the easiest, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Whether it's football, basketball, or any of your favorites, Prize Picks make your holidays bigger and brighter. Here's what you need to check out. You can win up to 200 times your money on Prize Picks, right? When your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. All you got to do is play player stat projections from 2 to 6 players. It's that simple. All right. This week, are you looking at Travis Kelce to go more than 70 yards receiving? Maybe Lamar Jackson to throw for more than 250 yards? It's quick and simple. So much fun to challenge myself and my friends. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly when you play just $5. Prize Picks, run your game. It has been way too long since I've seen this guy, one of the greats to join us on Locked On Lions, the executive director of the Reese Senior Bowl, one of the best scouts and developers of talent and just talent evaluators out there. Jim Nagy is with us here today on Locked On Lions. James, great to see you, brother.
Yeah, good to see you, Matt.
How you been?
Good. It's obviously go time down here. We're getting cranked up. We're almost at 100 players on the roster, so we got a little bit to go. Now that we're through championship weekend, that's a good thing. Texas didn't have their invites. Georgia didn't have their invites, so now they do. We sent a lot to those two schools. We're getting some stuff in from Ohio State now. We sent the most to Ohio State, so the Lions listeners, we sent 11 Senior Bowl invites to Columbus. That's a really that's a really talented team that Michigan beat. They've got more NFL players in that starting 22 than anybody. So, but yeah, we're getting here to the end of it.
Can I ask you about that? Because I know you go to the games and you're on the sidelines and you see things. How does a team like that? And this is not a good Michigan team. I mean, you know that. And I know it's a rivalry and everything else, but you send all these invites to the Ohio State team. How does that happen where they just get pushed around for 60 minutes like they did a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I don't know. The rivalry thing definitely might have something to do with it. That's and it's not a bad Michigan team. It's an offense that struggled. Defensively, they had really good personnel. They've got some good young players on that defense. I don't know. I mean, when I watched the game, I didn't watch the game in real time. I was at the Iron Bowl, but I woke up and watched it the next morning, and I thought the quarterback would have had to play flawless football, and the fact that he threw an interception on the 1 yard line and they still won the game, like I don't know how that happened, but I don't know. I think I kind of feel like Ohio State's getting in that territory now that Michigan was for a while, where there's a ton of pressure on them to win that game now. You lose and you lose and you lose, and Michigan went through that mode, man. It just there's more and more pressure. So I don't know. It's interesting, but if like you line up talent for talent, I would have bet my mortgage Ohio State would have won that game. So that's why I don't bet. That's why I'm not. That's why I've never gambled. So it was a great win for Michigan.
Jim, you grew up in this state. You and I are sitting here on December 10th talking about the 12-1 Detroit Lions that have won 11 in a row.
It's incredible.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, the 12-year-old version of myself would have been freaking out right now. So, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's funny, like nationally, when you watch these national broadcasts, they talk about the city of Detroit and how great it is for the city of Detroit. And I just shake my head. I'm like, no, it's great for the whole state of Michigan. Like, yeah, that state loves the Detroit Lions. It's not just the greater Detroit area. Let's be clear on that. So no, there's a lot of happy Lions fans, man, all the way up into the UP. So it's a really cool thing. Brad's done a great job. Dan's done a great job. Really, happy for those guys and happy for Lions fans. So let's see how far they can go, man. This is exciting times.
When you watch this team, when you're kind of dissecting the situation, what's the secret to the sauce? Is it just winning up front, having that offensive line that's so good, and obviously Lee McNeil and the guys on the defensive line? Is it winning up front, or is it just a confidence thing, a culture thing, or is it all of the above?
I think they're really well put together offensively. I think Brad's done a great job of putting that thing together. You have two really complementary backs, right? Like you look around at a lot of teams in the league and they're basically running the same two guys out there in a rotation. When Detroit goes with Montgomery and Gibbs, I mean, that is a true 1-2 punch. We had it when I was in New England with like Corey Dillon and Kevin Falk. I mean, it just gives you something complete. That's why the whole notion of a change of pace back, they truly have that there. Both those guys change the pace of each other. And then the receiver core is very, very diverse. You got a lot of different skill sets in that receiver core. And with Laporta, And really what's cool there, it seems like there's a lot of belief in that football team right now too. I mean, that league is a league of momentum. I think we all know that. I mean, I've been a part of teams that have, an undefeated Patriots team where we just rode the wave. And then I've been part of a 2-14 Kansas City team one year, and you just can't get out of your own way. And it's tough. And Lions fans have been through those years too. So they're riding a good thing right now. What was really impressive the other night in the Green Bay game was just the play they were getting from the defensive line. All these guys that are, Brad signing off the street with their pro personnel department doing a great job, and this coaching staff getting those guys ready to play. I mean, some of those guys, man, like I've barely heard of a couple of those guys, to be quite honest. Some of the guys they're playing with on defense, I mean, they weren't ever in contention for the Senior Bowl over the last 6 years. I know that because we scout all these guys. They've probably got grades in the system somewhere, but they weren't sniffing the draftable board. So the fact that they're getting play like that from guys off the street, it's super impressive, man. What the coaching staff's doing and what they're doing identifying guys that are on the street right now. It's impressive.
You mentioned that, Miles Adams and Jonah Williams. I was at the game Thursday night looking at my phone, trying to just identify who some of these guys are. How much credit should Aaron Glenn get? How much, he says it's not scheme. It's just, we're going to bring the right guys in that have the right attitude. You've been in front offices. Is that stuff overrated, or is it real? And they're just kind of, like you said, riding this wave.
Yeah, no, I think it's very real. If you look at those Seahawks defenses that I was a part of with that team, those Legion of Boom defenses, there was guys that are Hall of Fame talents, Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman and Bobby Wagner. But really what made those guys what they were, what was the attitude and was the edge they played with, and the physicality and the aggression. And Aaron Glenn's got those guys playing. It's not all about the X's and O's. It's about bringing the right guys in. And that's really what I credit Dan and Brad the most with, is that a lot of front offices, and I know you've been through regimes in your time in Detroit, Lions regimes that say one thing and then they don't put their money where their mouth is when it comes to draft day and with acquisitions. These guys are bringing in Dan Campbell kind of guys that fit what they want to be. And again, it's all working. So kudos to them. A lot of personnel people, a lot of coaches don't have the discipline to kind of stick to their guns and take the guys they say they want. And right now in Detroit, they're doing that.
Jim Naggie with us, executive director, of course, of the Reese Senior Bowl. Could you make a case, Jim? They do those lists in the offseason, top 100 and all that. Could you make a case that Penei Sewell is the best player in the NFL?
I don't watch enough pro tape anymore to even venture a educated opinion on that, but he's awesome. Going all the way back to college, but they nailed that pick. I want to say it was him and Rashawn Slater in that draft were the two top offensive linemen, and they've both become great players. But again, Penei's been a great fit for them. He's a great city for Detroit. I feel like just seeing different things about him. He's embraced Detroit. He's embraced being a Lion, which is really cool. He looks like a cornerstone type player for him that'll, one of those rare guys that might play his whole career in a franchise, at least 2 or 3 contracts. So he's a really unique player with his mobility and his power and his aggression. And usually it's a trade-off at the offensive tackle position. You're trading off athlete for, power player, or vice versa. And Penei's the best of both worlds.
You mentioned the unbeaten Patriots that you were a part of course, until they got to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to get into that with you, but the Lions, you're welcome. The Lions have 4 games to go at 12-1, and they've got Philly and Minnesota kind of on their heels, but this is sort of that dog days in December. How do you get through this and not kind of start thinking about January in the playoffs?
Just being disciplined and going week to week. And they don't seem like they're taking anybody lightly. They're showing up every week and they play their same. If they just show up and play their brand of football, they're going to be in every game. And then you get in every game. And then you've got a quarterback like Jared Goff, who's been there, done that. That's why they're built really well, man. Like if they just come in and they're up every game, and it's easy in the NFL to have a letdown, so it could happen in this home stretch. They might have a letdown one of these games, but they don't seem like they're the kind of team that does that. So again, they've really got a nice blend of players. And the cool thing is right now, like I said, they've got other guys stepping up. It's not the same guys every week, even on offense. Some weeks the mainstays are usually Montgomery and Amon-Ra. But I feel like every time I tune into him, one week it's Jameson Williams, the next week it's Laporta. Then Gibbs goes off. So Tim Patrick, whatever that, maybe that was, I think the last game I watched, Tim Patrick scored a couple touchdowns. So just a really, there's a lot going on there right now, and a lot of complimentary football. I mean, throw out all the buzzwords, man. Like they're sticking to a lot of great things up there.
Lions get the Bills on Sunday. Is this, in your mind, a possible Super Bowl preview? Do you like what you're seeing with Buffalo?
Could be. I mean, Josh Allen is if anyone can get you to the Super Bowl, it's that guy, if you're Buffalo. So, you always talk about like levels of quarterback and levels of starter. I think the word franchise quarterback is thrown around way too loosely. I reserve that for guys that you can win Super Bowls with. Those are franchise quarterbacks, and that's certainly Josh Allen. So, and again, he's making it work. He's lifting the players around him right now. We had Khalil Shakir here in the Senior Bowl. I was a big believer in him. Love the kid. He's got Khalil playing really well. They lose Stephon Diggs. They lose Gabe Davis. They got Ray Davis, another guy we had in the Senior Bowl last year, is a really cool complementary backfield with James Cook, kind of like what Detroit has going on. Two different styles of running back. So they got two tight ends they can hit you with. So, but again, he's making people around him better. And it seems like they're a team that's playing with a lot of confidence. So, and they'll come in pissed off. They lost a game in LA. They probably feel like they shouldn't have lost. And so you'll get a team that's ready.
More with Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl. I want to talk to him about what's coming up in Mobile and some of the players that will be down there. We'll do that coming up next. Our man Jim Nagy with us, but first we got to tell you about our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5. You get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, FanDuel isn't just for the betting. You can check out latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Our buddy Jim Nagy with us runs the Reese's Senior Bowl, the executive director, Mobile, Alabama. Jim, you're getting down to the nitty gritty here. It's Senior Bowl will be here before you know it. How's the selection process gone? Talking to the players and certainly coaches, and how's everything been going in terms of getting the rosters together?
It's going great. It's going great. No, we're really pleased with where we're at right now. Really, at all these positions, and the hard part is now we can bring juniors. So I'm not complaining. Nobody's complaining down here. They are going to be our best rosters we've ever had. We had 10 first rounders last year, 45 of the top 100 picks. And all of those first rounders were seniors. The NFL kind of dropped this new junior rule on us late in the process last year. And I don't think the juniors really had time to process wow, I can go to the Senior Bowl. So we didn't get a lot of those guys. But we are this year. We haven't announced any of them yet, but we're waiting for a later date that the league office gives us the green light to announce those. But no, it's going well. It's just trying to track, which juniors are coming out, and then who's representing them, and if they come out, do they want to play in the game? And then, so it's more of a puzzle piece this year. It's more of a moving target, right? Like you can't over-invite with the seniors and not have enough room for the good juniors that want to play. And then you don't want to under-invite on the senior class and strike out with juniors and then have a bunch of seniors that aren't happy that they didn't get an invite right out of the chute, maybe go to a different all-star game. So, I don't think that'll happen, but, it's more of a moving target, but it makes for a lot of fun.
We saw last year the Lions get Terrion Arnold in the 20s, and people said, man, very deep draft. Some of the draft experts right now are saying this year is not going to be as deep. Do you kind of agree with that?
It is really deep in terms of the overall depth of the draft. It is not a great first round. It is not a top-heavy draft. So I've spoken to teams that have less than 10 first-round grades right now, which is a very low number. In an average year, most teams have somewhere in the middle teens of first-round grades on the board, 15, 16, 17 first-round grades on the board. In a good year, that's more in the low to mid-20s. And right now, teams are in that 8, 9, 10, 11 range, which So then again, that for us, selfishly, I think of everything through the Senior Bowl lens. I mean, that's good for us. I mean, there's a lot, and the agent community knows that. I mean, they're talking to NFL teams as well. So they know that this thing's going to be determined, how this all shakes out, greatly be determined what happens here in Mobile and what happens at the combine. So that's why we're looking forward to such a great year. We're seeing a lot of returns on this junior class, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, it's, if you're a team right now, this isn't a great year to have multiple first-round picks. It's not. Like it's a really good year to have multiple mid-seconds to mid-fours. There's some really good value in that part of the draft, I think. But up high, it's not a great year.
You are around these teams. You are at games. So as your members of your scouting staff, give me something on the QB1 situation in terms of who you think could be up near the top and who you like.
Yeah, I think it's greatly unsettled, man. I think the names you probably hear up top are where it's probably where the league has those guys, but there's no real order. So coming into the year, Carson Beck was our number one quarterback. He's had a little bit of a disappointing season. He was kind of on a really steep trajectory at the end of last year. He was on his way to becoming what would have been the 7th first-round quarterback. I truly believe. I don't think he would have, reached Bo Nix and Michael Penix, at 8 and 12. But I think he would have went somewhere in the first. And now, unfortunately, he's got the arm injury, and we don't know where that's going to go. But I think now that we're here at the end of the year, it's going to be a lot of talk about Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Shedeur Sanders, and really most recently, going back to like Big Ten country, there's a lot of buzz right now on Drew Allaire at Penn State. He's a guy that has as good a tools or better tools than all these seniors we're talking about, and he's played well in some of the big games. That's always kind of been the question mark with Drew. So, and the cool thing for him is he's got a chance to make a run here in the CFP and really make an impact. So he's a name right now that, talking to people in the league, there's some growing first round buzz on Drew Allaire, and then really the guy who's getting a lot of buzz too, not like up in that first round range, but on day 2 is Riley Leonard at Notre Dame.
Yeah. So
he was a guy that started off the year a lot of 4s, a lot of 5s. He missed a lot of time in the offseason with an ankle injury. New program at Notre Dame, obviously coaching staff learning him learning the people around him. And if you watch October and November, I mean, that's when Notre Dame, and they started scoring 50 a game, it felt like every week. And a lot of that's due to Riley and his development in the pass game. He's big, he's athletic, he's an A+ character guy. He's from down here in the Mobile area. I've been around this kid since high school. Like, you couldn't raise a better kid. I mean, his parents did a phenomenal job with this guy. And now he's starting to throw it really good. So that'll be the fun part of this process is the teams trying to figure out this clump of quarterbacks up at the top and which ones, deserve to be up there. And if you look at this past year, I mean, look at this. We're coming out of last year's draft with like Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and Drake May and Caleb Williams, and all these guys right now look like they can be real players. So this process should be fun.
Well, Jim, I don't have to tell you, you do a fantastic job with the Senior Bowl. And when players go down there, you guys always say if the draft starts in Mobile, but it's true. They get better because they're around you and your team. And, of course, the coaches. Keep up the great work. Always great to see you. And we got to see you up here soon. Maybe we got to get you up here for a Lions playoff game.
Well, if they get to New Orleans, that is a 2-hour drive for me. And I have never called the league office for a pair of Super Bowl tickets since I've been here at the Senior Bowl, and I will be making that call if the Lions get there. I gotta take my dad. I gotta take my dad to the Super Bowl. He's sitting up there in Traverse City, Michigan. He's been a fan since the 1950s. So if they get there, I got to get that done. So great being on, Matt. Thanks for having me on again. Thanks for all the kind words. I appreciate it.
You got it. There he is, Jim Nagy with us, Executive Director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. He is the best. It's a Tuesday, Locked On Lions.